Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the One More Thing podcast. This one is going to be a little bit special because it is on my birthday. Woo, 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 woo. 28. Self-hype. I think this one is actually quite special in another way from another tangent from my birthday, also still a little bit related, is every year I kind of do like a post where I kind of write a long ass caption about life, right? And it ends up being like a TED talk. And now I'm actually doing a IRL version, even though not in real life, but like a video version of that TED talk. I think it's like a evolving kind of medium that just, you know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, right? So today's one is gonna be a little bit more cynical. Cynical means more like it's just me talking about myself and not caring about what people think because it's my birthday. So just let me have this one. But it's still in a frame where I think it's still beneficial to anyone who hears it. And if you can maybe see where it's coming from, it's actually quite a good framework to I guess have. Yeah, I mean, it helped me a lot, so hopefully it helps you guys as well. So this is today's episode. These are 5 cynical mindset frameworks that I have learned to embody through my 28 years of living. So let's get straight into it. Number 1. So this is the first cynical mindset framework that I have adopted through my 28 years of living, and actually is more towards the nearer stages of 28. I think this is something that comes with maturing and comes with, going through a lot of things that you just you are aware of it when you are younger, like let's say in the early 20s or like maybe even before that, but only once you are past a certain threshold of stuff that has happened to you, then you're really just like, I really just can't give a shit. But so this is the first one. It has to do with a lot with like people hating on you and like saying things about you that just aren't true, and things like that. So here it goes. Number 1, you can say whatever you want about me. You can dislike me and what I do for all I care. It does not matter to me. You know why? Because I have earned my own respect. That's the first one. So in this framework or this regard, I think being in control of your own self-worth and value is really such a flex these days, especially in the more recent times where nowadays your worth is kind of determined by like how many replies you get on your posts, how many comments you get, how many likes you get, how many people are noticing you in that sense, right? People think that these are the modern indicators of your value and worth. But the more that people think that, it just empowers that your own value of yourself and your worth is the real flex and the real indicator of your value and worth. So I think the amount of respect one has for his or herself is the real measure of, I would like to use this term, badassness. So my initial title for this whole thing was Badass Quotes to Live By. And then I realized that, hey, actually this episode is going to come out on my birthday. So, why not change the title or change it to something more related to my birthday? So I'm still not going to tangent away too much from the whole badassness of these quotes because I really feel like, when I say it, it gives me a sort of like that badass vibe. So yeah, I think, yeah, I'm gonna use this badass term a lot. Yeah. So yeah, the amount of respect one has for his or herself is the real measure of their badassness. It isn't the achievements they have attained and the number of followers they have, who follows them, what they have done, what expensive or rare thing they own, etc. It is by a mile the amount of respect they have for themselves. So why do I say that? Well, because firstly, if someone starts to genuinely respect themselves, they would start saying no more to the things they really didn't want to do. So, for example, okay, using secondary school PEEL, point, example, elaboration, link. So, for example, let's say someone asks, do you want to go for this birthday party? Right? And it is something you really don't want to attend. You maybe are not super close to this person, but this person invited you, or maybe this person invited you, but then you have something already planned, or something you rather much enjoy more doing. And because of social niceties and what you expect is expected of you, right? You're just like, okay, I think I'll make time for it. My friends are going, so I'm gonna go too. But if you really respect, your own time and yourself, you would just say, no, I have something else I would rather be doing. And it's just self-respect, period. Yep. So instead of beating around the bush, procrastinating, crafting an elaborate excuse and the works, because you truly respect your own time and energy, you just say, no, I appreciate the invite, but I won't be attending. And this is the important thing. And I think a lot of people already do this. They have no issue saying no to an invitation that was extended to them, or something that they were invited to. They will say no, but the real question is, are they giving excuses, or are they beating around the bush and not telling the truth? So self-respect is being able to say no and then tell the truth. So it's like just saying, I appreciate the invite, but I won't be attending. Sometimes you don't even need a reason. If you respect yourself enough, you would value your own time as much as other people's time, or even more in the case. If you come up with a lie to get yourself out of things, you're subconsciously telling yourself that your own time and energy isn't of value, so you have to create something of accepted value to get out of it. So it's what do you think is socially acceptable that will get you out of that invitation? And because you think you have to come up with something socially acceptable, and that you using your own interest is not socially acceptable, you are basically undervaluing or taking the value away from yourself and your own time and energy and your self-worth and your self-respect. So again, you don't need, I feel we should normalize not having to give a reason, to things as menial as, being invited to go out somewhere, unless it's a responsibility that is part of your job. For example, like let's say you have to go for this practice because it is part of your job as a team member to go for this practice, then you have to give a valid reason why you're not going. But if it's something that is extended upon you, right, it's not part of your responsibility per se to be there, then you don't need to have a reason to not go. The reason can just be because I don't want to go. And if they get offended by that, then they don't respect your time. But that is the subtext. That is like not as important. The important thing is, do you then give yourself value, give your own time value? And if you are giving excuses, you are both signaling to yourself that your time and value is of no worth. And you are also then telling the other person that your time is not worth because you have to come up with a more accepted and valuable reason why you can't go. I'm saying. So that's first, right? If you really respect yourself, you can just say no, right? You won't care what people like, whether people like you or not. You won't care whether what they say about you, because you have your own respect. You respect your own time. Secondly, right, you'll be okay being misunderstood because your worth and acceptance isn't tied to anything else but yourself. No one will know the full picture but you. No one who has ever lived has been liked by everyone. No matter how famous they were, or how much good they did in the world, there will at least be, I would easily say, 100 people who have issues with them, right? No one has ever been liked and will ever be liked by everyone. But there are a lot of people who have lived liking themselves. Guess who has a happier life? And furthermore, to find someone who truly likes themselves is rarer and rarer. Okay, I think that is the trend that is happening, that I have been observing, and I think it's also a lot of people can see that and agree with that finding someone who likes themselves is getting rarer and rarer. It's less common nowadays. And yeah, I'll leave it to you all to think why is that, and maybe even just like reconfirm for yourself by observing for yourself whether this is a true statement, whether it is easier or harder to find people who like themselves these days. The easiest thing you can do is just go around asking people, do you like yourself? Right? And then just get like a gauge of how many people you have asked, how many will confidently, like straight up just say yes. So you ask them, do you like yourself? And then you just say yes, like without having to think, without having to consider and think back on their life and then reflect and then give you an answer after a while. So who would you be drawn more to? Someone who has to always defend, reply, and correct every comment about them, or someone who lets them roll off their backs and continues doing what is good for themselves? The one who is able to remain stoic while in the eye of the storm. Right? That's just hella badass, right? Like there's shit flying everywhere, like so much things happening, and then this guy in the middle is just like, okay. Right? It's like, oof. Talk about badass. It's like that's the visual embodiment of badass. It's like not caring at all about the things happening around them in a not in a bad way, in more of a just let things happen as it is and not get affected by it. Right? So, or is it the hero who chooses which battles to fight, or the villain who fights everyone who wrongs them? That's the difference. Later I'll get into another example of heroes versus villains. But one of the main like differences between heroes and villains is just picking which fight to fight. So what happens is usually the villains will always want to fight every single person that offends them. They will just pick a fight with them. But the heroes are the ones who take time to analyze and pick which fights they want to fight and which cause they want to fight for. So it's just a matter of control that separates a villain from a hero, if you have realized. And I mean, I'm not saying that I realized this for myself. I always like to watch the behind the scenes of how movies are made, and every time the director or the writers are going through that thought process of creating their story arc for their characters, like the heroes and the villains, they always talk about the differences between heroes and villains. And yeah, you just start to realize that they are very similar. It's just how they go about doing what they do that makes the biggest difference. Right? So heroes don't care who likes them. They just care that they are doing a good work as defined by their self-respect. So what are they going to do that earns their own respect, irregardless of whether people are going to like it or not, whether people are going to understand it or not. You know, you talk about a lot of these heroes, all these vigilantes, you know, like half of the whole city is against them because they don't like what they're doing. Half of them are with them, but they don't give a shit because they they know what they want to do. They want to earn their own respect by standing up for what they believe is right, irregardless of whether people are against them or not. And lastly, on this whole point of not caring what people think and earning your own self-respect as being one of the most cynical things that you can do, right, is respecting yourself means taking care of your health, physical, mental, and spiritual health. When you know you're taking care of yourself, it's not as easy to be affected by external comments, opinions, or labels. You just do what you gotta do, and everyone else just does whatever they gotta do. So you are just more interested in your own self-interest than other people's interest. Yeah, people are gonna comment, people are gonna tell you to do things, people are gonna say this and that, but you are just more interested in yourself and your own health and gaining your own respect of how you look, how you see the world, how you handle things, how you grow, what direction are you going towards, irregardless again of external things. Right? So personal side wise, again coming back to the more reflective side of a birthday TED talk and stuff. So I myself have been on the receiving end of hate, false accusations, defamatory statements, and more. They've been from strangers, ex-students, acquaintances, peers, and many other places. And the immediate pull to retaliate is almost involuntary. I think it's a human inbuilt thing where you have to defend yourself. And that's where people get drawn into. And that's where they just don't allow themselves to grow because they just give in to that primal instinct of having to defend themselves. Like you are still an animal in the jungle, right? Always having to fight for the survival. But we are evolved. We're an evolved species. We have the mental capacity to think deeper and to analyze and to question and to be patient. So at this point, honestly, I respect my energy enough to avoid swimming in the ocean of negativity where these all come from. So I see it as, again, either the eye of the storm, right? I'm in the center because this is my world. As in, I understand that the world is a big place, but from my perspective, I am in my world, but I'm still considerate that everyone else is also in their world. But as long as I'm looking at it from my own perspective, right? I'm in my world and everything around is just moving as its own. It's like how everything revolves around the sun. So you are the sun, right? You can choose who you want to focus on. You can choose whether to focus on this planet orbiting at this moment or another planet or just don't care at all, right? And then, yeah, you just are able to choose what you want to focus on. So I am in this eye of the storm and everything else is going around, and I can analyze, I can either choose to engage with these negative things going around, or I can just let it pass by and just be like, okay, it's there, so it's gonna go past, and I just choose to focus on the things that are actually helpful at this point, right? The positive things, the things that matter, and the useful things. So unless it comes from a person I value, it doesn't end up bothering me, because why would I respect comments from a person who doesn't respect me? A respectful criticism would be constructive and sit directly to the recipient instead of through gossips or tea spilling sessions. Yeah, so I think people underestimate the amount of things that I am able to pick up from my various sources. Although I'm a very introvert person, I have like, little birds everywhere. I hear a lot of things that people are saying about me, like, in, through their own communities or friend groups and whatever. And yeah, I couldn't give a second thought about it, because it does not matter to me. I like that line where I said, it unless it comes from a person I value, it doesn't end up bothering me, because why would I respect comments from a person who doesn't respect me? Yeah, it's again picking your battles, right? So if I was a villain, then I would straight away just be like, I want to fight back. I wanna sound out. I wanna bomb this person and whatever, blah, 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 right? Because I'm just so agitated and I give into the primal urge to retaliate, right? So I'm not saying I'm a hero, but I'm just saying I just know I'm not a villain. Yeah, I'm just gonna let things happen. So that's the first one, right? So you can say whatever you want about me. You can dislike me and what I do for all I care. It does not matter to me. You know why? Because I have earned my own respect. Have you? Yeah, this is like a different side of my podcast. This is like, just let me be cynical for once. Let me talk about myself in a nice way for once. Next one, number 2. This is also one of my favorite ones. I may not be the best at anything, but I would hate to be the person going against me, because everyone, especially myself, knows I will outwork and outlast anyone who does. Yes. Talent is overrated. I will not disagree that it is definitely a performance indicator and a boost in your potential, but it does not directly represent the success one will achieve. Work ethic is what converts talent into success, and work ethic is also what enables less talented individuals to attain the same or at least comparable success. Too long, very hard to understand, just simply work ethic over talent. So I may not be the most talented at anything, and I don't believe I am actually talented at a lot of things, but I know from experience and through gaining evidence that I know I will outwork and outlast anyone who competes against me. I may not come out as the best still, but I will hang on to one of the last, because I just know I will. I have that work ethic. Let me compliment myself. So growing up, I have tried many sports. I have entered many junior competitions, and that continued into my youth and adult life. I have never considered myself to be the best at any of them. And even looking back at those experiences, there was always a more established talent or competitor in that certain category or field, right? Whether it was swimming or karate, track and field, golf or dance, I was never the best or even close to being the best. But I know for a fact that when people saw my name in the list of competitors, it was one they took notice of because of how much sheer work and time they know I put into the things I do. And I know that for a fact because people have told me that. Yes, it's not something that I pluck out of thin air and just make a wild claim and statement. I've had people tell me that, oh, hey, you in this competition, okay, must be serious. But the fact is, I was nowhere to being even one of the best in that list of competitors, right? So yeah, so I deduced that, I mean, it cannot be because of the talent or the ability that I have, but it's because they know how serious that I am in the work that I do to come up with the results that I want. Yeah. So I wouldn't have gotten so many swimming awards when I was in a junior competition if I didn't put in the work in and out of training. So I had swimming lessons for sure. I think having lessons is part of, you know, getting your skills up. But I will also do a lot of after hours training, a lot of swims outside of like that one session a week training on my own, because I knew that I was gonna compete, I was gonna, you know, take part in these junior competitions. And just for context, right, I think most of you all know already if you have listened to my previous podcast, I was not the fittest or the most in shape person when I was a junior. I was still pretty chubby back then as a kid when I was competing in those junior competitions, and I was going against stronger and more experienced swimmers. You know, it was the kind where, you know, you just join for fun and just see how it goes, and just YOLO. Yeah. So yeah, I would not have gotten that many swimming awards as a chubby kid if I did not put in the work, because I definitely was not as talented in swimming that I can think of. But yeah, I can be sure and confident to say that I did put in the work to train my freestyle, backstroke, breaststroke. I did not do butterfly. Yeah, I hate that style. It's so tiring and difficult. But those three other styles. Then I wouldn't have gotten my karate awards if I didn't spend my weekends and holidays going for camps in the hot sun to drill the techniques of the set of movements that I was supposed to do, and then the timing of all those different techniques, and then the form. It's kind of like dance, but without music and a lot more stronger and less free. Yeah. So the amount of time you take to train a routine in dance is kind of also almost the same thing in martial arts. You have to do it again and again and again. You have to work on the individual basics. You have to memorize the routine. You have to be very conscious of your form in every single movement, etc., etc. And unlike like studio stuff, you have aircons and all that. Back then, when I was doing my karate training, it was like in a open air. It was sheltered, but it was open air in the afternoon with not much fans and ventilation. Yeah, and it was over the weekends. It was through the holidays, and I would just do that because I was competing, because I knew that I wanted to, you know, do my best at whatever I want to do. Yeah. And yeah, for context, for swimming, I have like 5 or 6 trophies for swimming in the junior competitions. I think at least half of them are first place. Yeah. Then a few are silver and a bronze, I think. Then for karate, I have like, I think a silver. Yeah, I have a silver in karate, maybe 1 or 2. Yeah. Then I wouldn't have qualified for golf competitions if I didn't spend the other parts of the weekends away from martial arts and karate and holidays deconstructing my swing, hitting golf balls under the sun, practicing my swing, practicing my accuracy, practicing my control, my shot trajectory, etc. Right? And like for golf, I have like I have 1 or 2 awards from golf. Yeah, not much, but yeah, I tried my best. So I wouldn't have been able to adapt to a dancer's build from an athlete's build if I didn't spend extra hours in school working on basics, stretching, coordination, and conditioning. And why I mentioned this adaptability from athlete to dancer's build is if you have been a sports person before and you have been the one to experience dance after that, you realize it's entirely different. Like the way your body has to move is like night and day. As an athlete, like in a more conventional sports uh, medium, you have to be very rigid. You have to be very strong in your structure, right? So basically, just less flexible, and you don't really have to coordinate many small body parts. Like for example, shoulder. In dance you have to do one shoulder at one time, but in, let's say, golf, you have to swing both at one time. So you have to lock it together and keep it rigid, right? And same for swimming, right? In swimming, you have to stabilize everything, so all your movements and your fulcrums and all that is giving you the best leverage possible. But in dance, it's like the total opposite. You have to loosen up everything, and that was a super tough process. Like I literally spent almost every day after my poly lessons in the club room, like standing in front of a mirror, like a window with reflection, just training my basics and doing conditionings and stuff to really help me adapt more to a dancer's build. So I did not necessarily win much, I would say, right? But I can honestly say that I was punching above my weight, and it was not from talent but work ethic. And I hope this is true, but I believe people know me for my work ethic, not for my achievements. If you tell someone my name, I don't think they will be able to say something that I've won or something that I have achieved, because I will be honest that I have not achieved much in terms of like wins or anything. But I think the first thing people will think of if you were to say my name is, this guy is a hard ass worker. Like, he gets shit done. Yeah, I hope that is true. I don't know. Personally, I identify with my mindset more than my attainments, because anyway, the journey is what matters the most, and hence why I am fully like confident and secure to say and tell my dancers that the journey is more important than the destination, because that is the story of my life so far. I may not have reached all the destinations I wanted to reach, but I have enjoyed and fulfilled and made full use of every journey that I've been in. Yeah. So you can be more talented than me, more experienced than me. It does not matter to me. So I may not be the best at anything, but I would hate to be the person going against me, because everyone, especially myself, knows I'll outwork and outlast anyone who does. I'll put a caveat, as long as it's something that I want to do. Yeah. So I have no problems not outworking and not outlasting you if it's something I don't want to do. You can outwork and outlast me, because I just don't want to spend my time on that. But if it's something that I want to really spend my time on, I will outwork and outlast anyone who does. Try me. Next, number three, cynical mindset framework that I live by. I don't need to be in the perfect position. I can be in a disposition, and I know I will still get shit done in spite of that. Anyone can get shit done when they're in the perfect position. Watch me do it while being in a disposition. So if you don't understand this whole disposition thing, position is basically where you are. Yeah. Disposition is being away from where you want to be. So you are in a disposition. So let's say if X is the perfect position you have to be in order for you to get this, then a disposition is basically the further away from X. So you're just like in a more unconducive place to say. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I mean, to talk more about this, a lot of people want to be in the perfect position first in order for them to go and try to do something. They are waiting for that perfect opportunity or to be in a perfect place before they feel like they can start doing something. But I'm just gonna go for it, whether I'm in that position or not. Because if it's something that I want, I'm just gonna get it done. I'm just gonna find a way to do it. Yeah. So I've always been a huge superhero fan. I think many of us are. But I think for me, it's like unspokenly huge. Yeah, like I think people don't really understand how much I love superheroes. So whether it is Marvel or DC or other franchises, I love superheroes. Yeah, I'm a big superhero fan. And the reason being is I spent my childhood watching Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, Justice League, and so many more cartoon series, along with the live action movies from like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy to Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy to the rise of the current MCU and everything in between. I spent my childhood watching that like ritualistically. Like I knew back then, I memorized all the time slots that those TV shows were happening, because back then it was not like on demand thing like Netflix. You have to um, follow whatever the channel's schedule is. So at this certain time slot is this program. If you want to watch it, you have to wait for that certain time slot. Yeah, and I ritualistically on the television, turned on the television at those times, switch channels in between just to watch all the superhero stuff. Yeah, memories. So superheroes are the ultimate badass icons. In the reason for that, it is not because they were in the perfect position at every step of the way, but because they made shit happen despite everything not going their way. And because most of my childhood was watching that, I just came to believe that you don't need to be in a perfect position for shit to happen. In fact, shit has to happen for you to then be able to accomplish it. So somehow, I think that's where my whole mindset of not caring whether I'm in a perfect position or not and still getting stuff done came from watching cartoons. Ooh. So yeah, watch more cartoons, but make sure they are like helpful ones. It's not like the recent don't know what skibby toilet stuff that's whatever it is. Yeah, that's not serve any purpose. So yeah, superheroes get shit done despite things not going their way. In spite almost everything is not going their way. Right? So for sure they would still be amazing if they were in the perfect position, but what establishes them as someone great is by still getting the job done in spite of being in the biggest disposition they can be at. Think about it. Every superhero has to overcome this insanely huge setback before they, make that incredible win, or that whatever it is they're trying to achieve. Something really bad has to happen, right? I mean, in a more audience perspective, the director does it so that we feel more for the superhero and everything. But I mean, if you take away that perspective and you just look at it as it is, right? Like it's either a close person to them died and then they have to get over that in order for them to, redeem themselves and like really make it bigger than themselves, or they a super big surprise happens, like this super huge villain team up, and then it's just one person against so many people, and then they have to overcome that in order for them to stop the world from ending and stuff like that. So it is always something has to happen. They always have to be in a disposition, or they will always be put in a disposition, but they still get the stuff done, irregardless whether they know they're gonna do it, or irregardless whether they know they are able to do it. In a sense, they just go for it. Yeah. And I think that is why we kind of watch it with a little bit of pessimism. It's like, or maybe not, I forgot what's the word for it, but sometimes when we watch superhero things, we just know that they're gonna win because it's a superhero movie. Of course they're gonna win, right? But we don't see it in a maybe more realistic perspective, that if let's say you are that person, that superhero, you don't know you're gonna win, right? You just know that you are in this very big disadvantage, and you have no idea if you're gonna live. You have no idea if you're gonna succeed, but you just go for it, even though you're in that huge disadvantage and disposition, right? And moving on, there is a quote that says the only difference between a hero and a villain is what they do with the shit that happens to them. So going back to, again, previously I mentioned something about villains and heroes, and this is the most I would say commonly understood thing about heroes and villains, is that both heroes and villains have had something happen to them that made them who they are at this point, a hero or a villain. The only difference in that trajectory is when that shit happened to them, what did they do after that, right? So the villain will be the one that just blames everything and everyone, and they want to, make stuff right to them. And then the hero is the one that, in spite of this happening to them, they still want to do good, and they still want to look at the good things in life, and etc. So what matters to me more is then about the how you get the shit done, because in movies, villains are also badasses in their own way. No one would disagree. I think villains are quite badass. The attitude they have, and the amount of like conviction they have in the things that they do, it's just so badass. Right? You talk about like authenticity, right? True alignment between what you think, what you say, and what you do. Villains are authentic because what they think and what they say and what they do is in line. That's pretty badass, right? But it's just how they're doing it. That's the difference. So villains also have to overcome the disposition they were in, whether it is being oppressed, mistreated, underprivileged, being wronged, etc. However, the way they go about it, overcoming their disposition, is oftentimes reckless at the expense of others and self-centered. Not in this cynical kind of way, but more of a too much self-centered, too cynical. Yeah. So I'm not saying that I want to be a hero, but who would argue that having the superhero mindset as a guiding framework is a bad thing? If you look at most of the successful people in the world, almost none of them was in the perfect position all the time. There's this quote from Alex Hormozy that I listened to recently. People think that they need a perfect condition to start, when in reality, starting is the perfect condition. Yeah. So you create your own position, I guess, in that sense, right? Everyone will always be in a disposition, right? Everyone has to overcome being in a disposition. And it is because they managed to do it while their competitors didn't, is why they made it. So we can kind of say that the measure of the ability for an individual to overcome any disposition is an indicator of their possible success. Because they would try more, number one for sure, and they would just get stuff done, overcome the disposition. They're not so focused on, am I in the perfect position or not? They're focused on, what are you going to do now that's going to help you get to where you want to be? So again, I'm not saying I want to be a hero, but at the simplest level, I know that I don't want to settle for an average life, and I define average as doing nothing extraordinary. So extraordinary people, like superheroes, welcome adversity and will always be put in a disposition which they have to find a way out of. So I don't need to be in a perfect position. I can be in a disposition and know that I will still get shit done in spite of that. Anyone can get shit done when they're in the perfect position. Watch me do it while being in a disposition. That was number 3. 2 more. Number 4, cynical mindset frameworks that I live by that hopefully helps you. Be so genuine and human that when people hate on you, it says more about them than it does about you, because what atrocity is there to really hate? So have you ever met someone who has surprised you because what you have heard about this person and who they actually are in real life are like night and day? So what you hear about this person maybe is bad, but then when you meet them, It's like, wow, this guy is so nice, so kind, so amazing, so awesome, right? Or it could be in the other way where you hear this person is so amazing and wow, he's such a kind guy, and you meet that person and they're just like trash. So it can go either two ways, right? But of course, I'm for this point, I'm talking more about you hear a lot of shit about them, but when you meet them, they're actually pretty stand up, right? So, for example, someone tells you that this particular person is such an arrogant person. They don't know what they are doing but acts like it. He thinks it's very good, etc. So based on this description, you would think and probably have painted a picture in your head of this person being condescending and maybe a know-it-all. But when you finally meet this person in real life, this person is out there, you see him helping people, you see him giving encouragements, you see this person showing by example how the things are supposed to be done are done like, and etc. So if this happens, what would you think and how would your perception change? Centering it back onto the things we can control, which is just ourselves, be that person who simply focuses on doing your own thing and focusing on that what you are doing is in line with the right and just causes and values that you hold. Because if you are focusing on what people are saying about you, you are not focusing on what you are doing. And what you are doing might end up tangenting to somewhere else. It might end up being diluted, or you could make a mistake because you're not focused on it. Right? So if what you're doing is genuine and full of humanity, keep focusing on that. What will it say about someone who hates on a person who is selflessly helping others? What will it say about someone who hates on a person who empowers others? Or someone who provides opportunities? Because if you keep doing what you're doing, and if you are very sure what you're doing is really a positive thing and it's great for humanity and you're helping people, then yeah, what ends up happening is you end up being such a great person, and it's just illogical and almost impossible to hate on you, that if someone does hate on you, they are the ones that look like a fool. Because yeah, how can you hate Michelle Obama? She does so much great. I know I don't know the politics nowadays, but I just see her as or hear her as this amazing person. Oprah Winfrey. How can someone hates on Oprah? You would think more about the person who hates Oprah than Oprah herself, right? So this links in part to the first point, dealing with hate, right? In the first place, if you can live with what you are doing and you earn your own self-respect, like we said in the first point, then the hate won't matter. And following that, if what you are doing is really genuine and with humanity, then those who matter, those being those with great hearts and good spirits and in line with the people you want to connect with, will see that there really is nothing to hate, and the problem lies with the people spreading the hate. This is the definition of action speaks louder than words. Right, then to tie in with self-doubt, which is what I talked about in the previous episode. So if you have not checked it out, self-doubt, check out a previous episode. The dose of self-doubt will keep you in check when the hate comes by reflecting if there really is a cause to change what we're doing, or is it just noise. So there would definitely be a part within that kind of assesses, like at that moment when the hate comes in, like, is that true? And it's that little bit of self-doubt that is good, that keeps you in check. And once you get past that little self-doubt check and you realize that, or you confirm that what you're doing is in line with the values and morals you hold, then you're good to go. Just keep doing what you do. Yeah. There is no one perfect way to be in this world, but there are many ways to be someone who does not commit any atrocities and to be someone genuine and humane. So I'm at a point in my life, 28 years old, where I'm just focusing on being as genuine and as human as possible and not care about the negativity people want to tie to me or associate with me. I know that with what I'm doing, those who truly know me and matter to me will have more to say about those naysayers than they do about me. And if you have something to say about me, then you're not someone that I want to be with. I mean, I'm open to criticism, constructive criticism. If there's something that I'm really doing that is wrong, tell it to me, like, directly, right? If you are telling someone else about what I'm doing, yeah, I don't want to be with you, man. You're just taking up my energy and time. So be so genuine and human that when people hate on you, it says more about them than it does about you, because what atrocity is there to really hate? And we've come to the final one, and tying in with the whole first title of it being something about badass quotes to live by, this is something related to that. So number 5, the most badass thing you can do for yourself is earn the use of your own name as a synonym for greatness. What do I mean by that? For example, so when someone asks you, how do you do what you do? You can simply say, because I am, insert your own name. Or in a conversation, someone says, you have to be, insert your name, kind of crazy to do something this hard. For example, if your name is Ryan, right? My name's Ryan. So you have to be Ryan kind of crazy to do something this hard. And it's something that you cannot just say. You have to earn it. And if you do, that is honestly one of the most badass things you can do for yourself. So to cap off this episode, this is the most badass thing you can earn for yourself. The ability to use your own name as a synonym for badassery. So far, I have only heard one person do this, and it is very well deserved. It was on a podcast, and the host asked David Goggins something along the lines of, how did he do all the things he has done, or how does he constantly do all these crazy ass feats of physicality and endurance? And his reply was simply, 'cause I'm David Goggins, bitch. Like, literal goosebumps. And like I said, it's well deserved, and it is the truth. He earned it. He has done the work to earn the ability to use his name in that context. 'Cause I'm David Goggins, bitch. Like, I think that is so, yeah, that's so rock and roll. So yeah, he has really earned it through the incredible limits he has pushed through. And it's not that he's done, he's still going on, right? He doesn't have to prove himself anymore, but he's not doing it to prove himself to others. He's doing it to prove it to himself that he is who he says he is, right? If you want to use your name as a synonym for being badass, it's something that you don't just have to earn, you have to maintain, right? Because as easy as someone it is to use your name, it is also as easy for someone to not continue using your name. So you don't have to earn it, you have to maintain it, right? And I think to a certain extent I have experienced that usage of my name as a synonym for some kind of characteristic. Bear with me. So most notably in place of crazy full out. Like, for example, y'all need to Wayne full out. Those that have danced with me, y'all would have been on the receiving end of that comment or request. Y'all need to Wayne full out. But that was when I was younger. I don't think I can full out as crazily as that anymore. I think I've also been used as a synonym for being incredibly injured but still refusing to rest. For example, don't be a Wayne. If not, your injuries will get worse and I have to take you out of the piece. Yeah, so one maybe good one maybe not so good one. But yeah, I think it's just that idea of having a kind of characteristic tied to your name. So it goes back to the whole question which I've been asking recently. And if you have stuck around until this part of the podcast, this is where I really get into my real reflection is, what do you want to represent? Or not what do you currently represent? So if people say your name, what is the first thought that comes into their mind? If someone says your name to someone else, what is the first thought that comes into their mind when they hear your name? Is it what you want it to be? And if it's not, what are you doing to change that? So I'm not sure what my name represents now, like what people might associate my name with. If y'all have any thoughts on that, I would be interested to know. So maybe DM or message me. And it will also be nice to know that y'all have listened to this point in this episode to maybe give me an indication that you have listened to my episode. But yeah, I think that is one of the things that I'm gonna try to be focusing on. I'm not a big talk person, so I don't like to talk about the things that I am gonna be doing until I do them. And I think that's one for another episode. That whole, don't talk about things before you want to do them. Just do them and then talk about it after, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that is just one of the exceptions I'll make for this, because yeah, it's part of my, I'm now right now spitballing some reflections that I want to add into this episode, that this is something I want to focus on, which is, what does your name represent? And I think I got this thought also when I recently saw this post about the biggest thing you can give to your kid in the future is a good last name. Like, it's not what you leave behind for them. It's not how much money you can pass down to them or what kind of possessions you can, but it's just being tied to a good last name, right? And I think nowadays, I mean, especially in Chinese culture, your last name is very common, like Li or Tan or Go or whatever it is. But maybe more of the last name is, you are so and so's son or daughter, right? That has to hold certain pride. Like, I want my kid in the future to be proud, that to say that they are Ryan Wayne's son or daughter, right? And people recognize that as like, shit, okay, right? I think that is quite stand up. That is quite badass. So I'm going to be working on that. Not sure how, not sure if it's even possible, but tying back to all the things that I've said, I'm just going to be as genuine and human that maybe there's nothing much to hate about me. I'm sure people will still hate. But then again, yeah, I have my own self-respect. So if you hate me, I wish you a good life. And even if I'm in a disposition or a disadvantage, yeah, I'm still gonna get shit done. And whatever shit that I'm doing, I'm gonna be sure to outwork and outlast anyone who does, because yeah, maybe it's something to do with pride or like ego. that male ego. I will be the best at what it is I'm doing, right? But yeah, I think in this more podcast kind of mindset that I am in recently, I managed to verbalize and make into quotes or statements the mindset frameworks that I have that are more cynical, that help me to do what I do. Yes. So yeah, hopefully these 5 mindset frameworks help you think about how you want to approach your life, or maybe also get to know how I do my things and how I get around doing things. And yeah, like I said in the last point, I would really like to know what you guys think when you hear my name. Like, if someone, a stranger, asks you, do you know Ryan Wayne? What is the first thing that comes to your head? Yeah, I would really like to know, because I have to have some sort of calibration of who I think I am versus who people think I am. Not that I care much, but again, if you are someone who you know means a lot to me, then I would like to know what I mean to you. Get what I'm trying to say? Right? Because I still value the thoughts and opinions of people who I care about. Yeah. So I'm not gonna ramble on anymore. It's just nice an hour into this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see y'all another time. Peace.